a reporter asked Joe Biden whether he'll come out and say directly that it was Russia that blew up the Nord Stream pipelines. Take a look at his response.
Do you hold Russia responsible for the rupture of the Nord Stream pipeline?
Let's stick with this, okay?
This is an important international issue.
There's a lot of important international issues, but we're here to talk about America.
What the hell? What the hell was that, man? What was that? This is so shady. Let's talk about this. What the hell were you talking about that is more important than this? Were you attacked by aliens? What the hell was that? I published this on In Context, okay? So that's my outlet, which you should go follow because it's full of videos like this, okay? So In Context, look for it on YouTube and Twitter. You'll always see great clips like this every day. Now, the shady thing is that, you know, they've been blaming Russia for blowing up its own pipelines, which, yeah, sounds ridiculous because it is ridiculous. And when he's directly asked, will you say that it's Russia? He won't say it. I think this shows that the Americans did it, or the West did it, or at best, you remember how the Ukrainians took out these Russian generals, and they took out the Moskva, this Russian flagship in the Black Sea? There were American officers who went to the New York Times, and they were bragging how the Americans had given the Ukrainians the exact locations and intelligence to carry out these acts of sabotage and assassination. So it's not out of the ordinary to suggest that maybe the Americans didn't do it, but they gave the Ukrainians the tech and the intelligence to do it. That's also entirely possible, especially when you take into consideration that in the last couple of months you had BALT ops, so Baltic Sea operations, these were military drills carried out by NATO. The Royal Navy, the British Royal Navy, was also carrying out operations back in June. And BALT Ops was mainly focused with U.S. 6th Fleet, so the United States Navy. I mean, my point here is that in the Baltic Sea, where the Nord Stream pipelines are, you've had both the British and the Americans conducting drills there in the last months and using underwater unmanned vehicles. So when we talk about drones in the sky, you call them unmanned aerial vehicles. Underwater, it's unmanned underwater vehicle. It's still a drone, right? And they say it's for mine hunting, which, yes, that's like saying, well, that drones don't kill. We just use this for intelligence and for observation. No. I'm sure you have underwater drones that can demine parts of the sea. I'm also sure you have underwater drones that kill people and blow things up. So, I think it's very important to put that into context, and especially when you have the former director of the CIA who's going on CNN and saying, well, the Russians, they have the technology to do it. Yeah, well, so do you. But who has the incentive to do it? That's the question. Who has the incentive to blow up Nord Stream? The Russians? Nord Stream 2, that's just one of them. Nord Stream 2 cost $11 billion. Guess who paid for half of it? Russia. Nord Stream 2 never even got to take off. And in the New York Times, they lied, by the way. They said that Germany blocked it after Russia invaded Ukraine. That's a straight up lie. Germany blocked Nord Stream 2, or I should say America blocked Nord Stream 2 for Germany 2 days before there was any Russian soldier in Ukraine. It was on February 22nd. Nord Stream 2, they spent all this money building it. They're not pumping gas anymore anyway through Nord Stream 1. Why would the Russians blow it up? They have no incentive to do that. It's the Americans. And I want to show you Blinken over here. Take a look at what he had to say. He's happy, right? He's coming out and saying it now. So this is U.S. Secretary of State Blinken.
This is also a tremendous opportunity. It's a tremendous opportunity to once and for all remove the dependence on Russian energy, and thus to take away from Vladimir Putin the weaponization of energy as a means of advancing his imperial designs. That's very significant, and that offers tremendous strategic opportunity for the years to come. But meanwhile, we're determined to do everything we possibly can to make sure that the consequences of all of this are not borne by citizens in our countries, or for that matter, around the world.
Don't you love it when they take the mask off? If I transcribed that to you and I asked you who said this, you could not tell me whether that's Blinken or it's Joe Biden or it's George Bush or it's Condoleezza Rice, because they all sound exactly the same, right? They all sound exactly the same. Or Donald Trump, which I'll get to Trump in a second, by the way. Yeah? Let me show you what Putin had to say.
Но англосаксам уже мало санкций. Они перешли к диверсиям. Невероятно, но факт. Организовав взрывы на международных газовых магистралях Северного потока, которые проходят по дну Балтийского моря, фактически приступили к уничтожению общеевропейской энергетической инфраструктуры. Всем же очевидно, кому это выгодно. Кому выгодно, тот и сделал, конечно.
So, do you see the difference there? You have Biden, who's dodging the question and running away from a reporter, and you have Putin, who comes out and says the Americans did it. Which one of them sounds more convincing to you? Which one is speaking with more conviction? Is it Biden or is it Putin? Because I think if Biden had said it himself, the Russians would have pushed back very hard. But the Russians, they know there was the Americans, and they come out and say it because it's the truth. The difference here is that Joe Biden doesn't actually need to say it was the Russians. You know why? Because the relationship between mainstream media and the government is so tight that you can let the mainstream media do that for you. And that's what we've been seeing in the last days. You pick any outlet you like, whether it's New York Times, whether it's ABC, go and look at how they report about the Nord Stream pipeline. They all try to put plant this seed in your mind that it was the Russians who blew up their own pipeline. So on one hand, they say Russia is making too much money from this. Russia is making so much money from gas and oil. We have to put a price cap to stop them making money. Oh, but do you know who blew up their own cash cow? It was the Russians. What the fuck? What the fuck are you saying? What a monstrous, colossal, astronomical fucking contradiction. This is their cash cow and they blew up their fucking cash cow. Which one is it? Are they weaponizing energy or not? You want to cut their revenue, not the Russians. The Russians want to cut their own fucking revenue. Now, granted, they stopped Nord Stream 1 last month, yes. But they didn't stop it the months before that. The Russians are hoping that the Europeans will see reason and realize they're being abused by the Americans and leave them and start buying Russian energy again so their industry does not collapse and they don't have to burn fucking coal again. Biden ran away because he knows who did it. And it was not the Russians. Let me show you something. This is Trump. Let me show you Trump speaking to NATO, to Stoltenberg's face. And listen to what he says, okay? Let's take a... Here.
A massive oil and gas deal with Russia. I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries, and then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate? I mean, I've been complaining about this.
You get the idea. You get the idea. Trump is not happy. So he's telling the Germans, you guys are too dependent on Russia. We don't like that you're paying Russia all this money. Stop it. Does Donald Trump sound like someone who cares about Russia's interests when he's saying that? Or is he working against Russian infrastructure, against Russian interests, against Russian revenue? He's working against them. And apparently, by some people who call themselves journalists twisting themselves into fucking pretzels with their mental gymnastics, this guy's a Russian agent. Wow. Wow. He's doing a pretty crappy job if he is. They don't criticize Trump for, like, you know, murdering, almost starting World War III with the Iranians, you know, assassinating an Iranian general on Iraqi soil, or, you know, putting deadly lethal sanctions on Syria. No. They agree with that. They like that. Now let's make something up. Russia. Yeah, okay. One more time. Let me just play this real quick.
Do you hold Russia responsible for the rupture of the Nord Stream pipeline?
Let's stick with this, okay?
This is an important.
You know it was not the Russians. You know that.